Hello, it's Monday. Oh my gosh, it's January 19th. That's crazy. We're almost into February. They have oh, what is that love holiday? Valentine's Day stuff out all over the place, which cracks me up. So it's always about the consumerism. And I want to talk today about the Traitors, not what you think. So there is a great show on television called The Traitors. Alan Cummings hosts it. He's so flamboyant. He just cracks me up. And what I love about that show, besides the fact that it's a reality show, because if you know anything about me, I'm always about a reality show. I started out by watching, I guess I was a little late for the MTV when they all lived in the same house. I forget what that was called. My first reality show was Survivor. And I've been watching every season, every episode ever since. Bachelorette, all in, all the time. Big Brother, and The Traitors, and there's a few others in between. But here's the thing. And what I love about reality shows, it is just watching human behavior. Because if you really begin to notice human behavior, you recognize that there are so many different personality types, and none of them are like you necessarily. You might have some similarities, and yet it's so interesting that we have gotten to this place in the world where we get some similarities going on, right? We believe in certain two or three things, and then we coalesce around it, and then we create a mob around it, which I think is so crazy. Because I've said this before, and I will say it till I die. We are unique, individualized expressions of the one. So we are one with everything. Therefore, when we are looking at anything, we are looking at ourselves. We are looking at ourselves. We are looking at God being beingness. And so when we call out the fact that somebody is wrong because they don't think or believe the way that we are, that's something, an internal process that's going on. What we see in them that we don't like, what? We have it? We are it? Oh, we might want to delve into it. So I've said this before that I am an 8 on an Enneagram, which I am the challenger. I have this unique, beautiful gift to trigger people. And sometimes it's a little uncomfortable for even me because the reaction is, that's, you made me feel. And I'm not making anybody feel anyway. Everybody gets to feel however they want. We're completely in charge of our own feelings. And so, one of the things that I always share is we have to listen to people. We have to listen to them. And it was such a beautiful opportunity that I had. I didn't show up live on Friday because I was in Orlando, Florida. Oh my goodness. If you haven't been to Orlando for a while, I haven't been to Orlando for over 20 years. It is there is so much going on in Orlando. It is, first of all, it's hotel land because there are so many events going on. I mean, it started out 20 some odd years ago, at least when I was going there. There was Disneyland, and there were a couple of housing developments, and mostly there were housing developments for the senior set. That's 55 and over. I'm well past the senior set age requirement now. And it was so fascinating because there was so much land. And now it's Disneyland and SeaWorld and Universal Studios and who knows what else. I didn't have time to do a lot of tourist activities there, but I do love going to another city and just seeing how they experience life. And I didn't rent a car because I didn't need to in this particular case. I took Ubers, and I love, love, love talking to Uber drivers. Love it. If you ever want to just have fun in life, and of course it costs you money to take an Uber, but go get an Uber because you learn so much about people. And what I really love about Uber drivers in general is they are the gig economy. They are entrepreneurs, and there were I would say probably at least 90%, 80% of the Uber drivers that I experienced there, they're doing Uber full time, which is so remarkable that there's so much business in Orlando. I mean, you go to a Vegas or Orlando, LA, you can be it doesn't need to be a side hustle, it can be your full-time job. And I love the idea that being an entrepreneur is the way to go, and they are experiencing people all day long and having different conversations. So when I get in an Uber, I'm always asking them about their experience in their life with people. So I got lots and lots and lots of stories. But I happen to be, I think two out of the three were from Venezuela. One was a Dominican Republican from the Dominican Republic, and the other, oh, there was a girl. Oh, there was a woman that I'm gonna have on my podcast. She got like three jobs, and she was talking about her kids, and she's a single mom, and so you'll have to stay tuned for that because it's and yet, every single one of them, I should have invited all of them onto my Radical Responsibility Revolution podcast because all of them are taking radical responsibility for who they are. Other than the woman with the three kids, three boys, they all come from another country. They're here experiencing the American dream, which I find so beautiful to hear a perspective because I'm not going to get into politics right here, right now, but I do want to make a point that there are so many immigrants that have come here legally that now live in this country and are taking 100% full advantage the opportunity to experience the American dream. And I love that so much because if you think about the amazing abundance that we have in this country, because I'm an abundance trainer, and if you think about it, there's so much beauty and wonder that you can get out of the United States of America, and yet there's so many people that are poo-pooing it. And frankly, I talk about that in my book. I talk about it when I teach, and that is what you project out there, you're going to get back in spades. So, what do you want? Do you want more love? Do you want more money? Do you want more friends? Do you want more opportunities? Just be that energy and you can experience it. So, I was at Podfest. That's why I was in Orlando, which was just super fun. And I likened it to, I was sharing it on another video, that it's, I guess, like Comic Con, but for Podfesters. It wasn't quite that big, I'll say. They have thousands, it feels like, breakout sessions and speakers and opportunities for people that are newer in their podcasting to experience what it's like to be a podcaster, how to make it more viable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Trust me when I say being a podcaster, I've had my own personal experience. It's not an easy thing to get off the ground. Like everybody doesn't just start out as Joe Rogan. But then again, if you look at Joe Rogan's um, history of how he got to where he is with 3 hours per guest on the experience, he didn't start out like that. So I think this is what's so important to understand for everybody about anything. When you start a new venture, you have to start as as a beginner, and so that brings me to my point. One of my favorite tracks during Podfest was they had a comedy track. There was a guy, his name is, I think his first name is Steve. Everybody calls him Kimbro. So he's a stand-up comic and he was leading the comedy track. And he's from, I believe he lives in California. That's what he was talking about. And he has been doing stand-up and making a living out of it for a very long time, decades probably. And it came to a point where he decided he was going to quit. He was selling some kind of weird carpet, something or other. And just like the rest of us that finally decide we aren't going to go live through hustle just for money, because he was like the top performing salesperson, but it was not his soul. He was eating his soul actually. And comedy was his thing. And so he had a wife and he had some kids, and he told his wife, I'm going to go do comedy full time. And she said, well, if you do that, I'm leaving you. And he had to make a choice. Do I, is it family or is it my dream? And it was a God calling for him. And so he went with the comedy, and he's been making a living out of it ever since, which I find brilliant. And so I'm listening to his story, and I have this hidden deep desire dream to be a stand-up comic. I don't know why. Just like anything in our lives, we don't always know why we have these callings and these passions in our beingness. And it is something that I have never felt that I had an opportunity. I mean, you can go seek these out to do that. And so he's talking on his presentation. We were doing a little improv, a little this, a little that. He says, "Okay, and on Saturday night was it Saturday? Oh, yeah, it was Saturday night. God, the time flies. So on Saturday night, we're having an open mic, and apparently they've done this for several years now at Podfest. On this evening, they have an open mic night for anybody and everybody that wants to try out stand up comedy. I'm like, okay, sounds cool to me. And they were only taking 20 people, and it was for people that have never done it before. And the criteria for the audience is that they can't heckle, they have to be supportive. Well, it's not very often that you find an environment like that. And I went, oh my gosh, this is my calling. I'm really being pulled towards this. So I go back to my Airbnb on Friday night, and I'm pounding out my 3 minute set. And I mean, I didn't even know if I was going to get picked, because there was a whole deal to get picked, because there was a lot of people that want to do this. Turns out, uh, I did get picked, and because there weren't as many people as I thought, which is cool. And I was absolutely petrified. Now, I am not usually petrified. I don't have any problem being on a camera. I don't have any problem with visibility. I've been speaking on stages my whole life. But this is really, and comics will tell you this, this is really vulnerable to be in this kind of environment where you are just sharing things that you may not share on a, regular basis. And I was somebody made a comment before one of the comics, as they were introing everybody, that there was the clacking noise was your balls because you're so scared. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't have those, but my whole body was clacking from fear. And I don't usually find myself in those type of situations. I'm always pushing the outside of my beingness, because that's the only way we grow. You have to get out of that place called your comfort zone. And this was really out of my comfort zone. And yet I was just wanting to do it so badly that I was going to go work through the fear. And there was a lot of people before me that were really, really, really good. And I don't know if they have any history of being doing that or not, but they were amazing. And I was so excited about it. And then, of course, I start drinking the compare schlager because I, I'm like, there's no way that I'm that good. But that's what we do as humans. We compare our insides to somebody else's outsides and try to make that match, which it never will. So I want to use that as this idea that this reality show called The Traitors, we are in life with other humans. Like, I was up on that stage. You can see the 3 minutes on my Facebook page. I got such great feedback, although I thought it was awful, because that's what we do as well as humans. We just judge everything that we do, and we say that it's not good enough. And that's a human thing. That isn't what's real. And yet, this whole thing of being around people, of hearing other people's version of the world, of listening to a place where you can begin to understand somebody. And I've shared this multiple times on these lives, is that we are not spending enough time in our lives understanding those people around us. And so I got home, and The Traitors has just started. If you've never watched that show, it's really super fun. But you don't, so they pick traitors, and then there's what they call the faithfuls. And so the faithfuls are trying to uh root out the traitors, and I love it. It's a reality show. But what I find so fascinating is that you've got, I don't know how many people are on there, 18, something like that, people in a castle, that they all see something different. Like, they're all trying to figure out who these traitors are. And each person is so firmly entrenched in belief that their observation of somebody is accurate. And I thought, this is such a beautiful metaphor for life, the Trader Show. It is such a beautiful metaphor for life, because that's what the world is doing. The world is out there making, and I'm part of the world, you're part of the world. We're out there making these judgments about other human beings as if we know what they have experienced in life. No, we don't. And the only way we will ever understand is to actually be curious, my word for the year, ask questions, and listen. So I met Venezuelans that had a whole different take than what the news media wants to purport. I met Minnesotans there that have a whole different reflection on what's happening in their city that in Minneapolis than what the news wants to tell you. So my wish for everybody that listens to anything that I share is that we begin to see our similarities, ask how we are the same, connect with ourselves on this soul level, and stop paying attention to all the outside noise. And then this also is an opportunity in your world, perhaps, to step out of your comfort zone. You may not have to stand on a stage and do a stand up bit, but what is scares you to get out of your own way to connect with the world? Because that's what I was doing. I was connecting with an audience. I didn't know how it was going to land. I didn't know if they were going to think any of this was funny, which that's not the success ratio. The success for me was that I could feel that flippin' fear running through my body like I had just been tasered and do it anyways. This is what life is. You have to feel that absolute exhilaration that may be feeling like fear in order to go to those places that are the juicy and delicious places. They will never, ever be in your comfort zone. And believe me, I love my comfort zone. I got home, I recharge here. I'm an introvert, so I really want to have that downtime. And at the end of the day, it's always about what is the next edge that I'm going to press against? What is the next place outside of this comfort zone? And I think one of the things that I found so rewarding about this experience was I'm 70 years old. If you watch me at all, you probably know that, but if you don't, that's the case. And when you get to be on the planet for 70 years or 80 or 90 or 100, you have this perspective, you have this wisdom, especially women that have gone through the rewiring of their brain through menopause. You get to see the world in a way, if you're open and willing to see it differently than you have for every day before that, it's so beautiful. There is so much to be grateful for. And that is the thing that I teach the most is gratitude is the gateway. I've done 2 chapters on it in my book, Your Inner Billionaire, because gratitude will get you to those places and will allow you to attract that which you desire. If you are constantly in resistance, in hate, in bullying, in thinking negative thoughts all the time, because that just downloads into your body as that chemical signature of, you know, pushing life away. In order for us to really embrace life, it's about letting go of all of your crazy negative beliefs and then embracing what's truly beautiful and wonderful. And that is that every single thing on this planet is a direct mirror reflection of who you are on the inside. So if you see something out there that you don't like, look at what you're thinking and believing in here and how that is created. Where did those beliefs come from? Because I guarantee you that the beliefs that you have are not yours. They were a compilation of all those people that you have been around from the beginning of your life. So, watch the Traitors. I'll talk about more about the Traitors because it's super fun. And know that you are here to experience every juicy, delicious part of life, and that is getting out of your comfort zone. So, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Thanks for showing up. I can't see y'all because I'm on StreamYard. So if it's on Facebook, I know you're there. I can see your little